appreciate it. And as always, Sean, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I appreciate this community. And I'm humbled and honored to really be here today. And I'd like to first go back before we start the presentation and imagine it's 2019. I'm sorry, it's August of 2011. 5 months prior, I had just quit my job and I'm doing the entrepreneurial thing. And I'm waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, going to bed, falling asleep, exhausted at my desk at 11 o'clock at night. Next morning, do it all over again and do it all over again and do it all over again. And I just felt like the waves of entrepreneurship with just not having enough time to do it all was hitting me. And I would just get enough air in order to get started for the next day. And then I would go and do it all over again. It wasn't until some time that I actually walked outside of the water, so to speak, to get some air and really take heed of what was happening. And I took a look at my calendar to see what exactly I was doing. And I was jumping from here, there, and everywhere and actually had no boundaries. And so I clarified my calendar and all of a sudden I felt like there was this sense of relief and I could really start to see what it is that I needed to do. And so I read, went to events, I applied, and I created a system. And then I got a coach. And then I went and I learned some more things. And I actually went and just studied some of the best practices of other people. And I asked questions and I created more systems. And I just repeated that cycle over and over and over again. Over the last 10 years, I've been spending that time to create systems. And over that 10 years, I've created time. I know systems create time. And what we're going to be talking about today are the systems to help you create time as well. I know up until this point, you've applied and tried and really done everything that you can to create time. And obviously you're here. And again, I don't take that lightly. As I was getting prepared for this talk today, I actually was brought to tears because I was working for this presentation over the last 10 years to present this to you. I've struggled through all of those things. I've created systems in order to help myself, in order to be able to help you. And for some of you, I just may have met you. And for others, I've known you for, a year and a half or more. And so that's what this intention behind this presentation is. It's what it is that I've been doing over the last 10 years to really create. So let's start off in less time. I'd like to start off with a graph that you may see and recognize, and you could pinpoint some areas where you might be falling into this fractured time, whether it's following up, whether it's prospecting, whether it's organizing, whether it's watching YouTube or going down those rabbit holes. This is really what a typical day looks like. What does your day look like? As you think about that and you reflect based off of what you just saw in there, I'd love for you to think and ask about yourself these questions. Do you work all day long and feel like you didn't accomplish anything? Do you have too many projects to complete and don't feel like you're making any progress? How much time is getting taken away from you from other people? Asking whether this email or a DM or a text message or a tweet or whatever that might be. Think about those as we're going through this today. So what we're going to talk about is the fundamental 5-step process to your time creation. The first is it begins with boundaries. Second is, and we're going to walk through each one of these steps here today, identifying critical business components. Step 3 is to add category days. Step 4 is to set habit hours. And step 5 is to apply to your time clarifier calendar. So let's start off with beginning with boundaries. But before we do that, what is the one breakthrough that you want to make today as it relates to time? So when you heard about systems create time and creating more time, what was it really that got you thinking and attending here? Step 1, let's begin with boundaries. Boundaries really allow you to focus intention within days. Think about what your day might look like. As I was thinking about my day back in 2011, as I was thinking about all of these things, I would go from this meeting to this product development to a marketing conversation to a sales conversation to a finance kind of like analysis piece, and just jumping from here, there, and everywhere. So the idea behind boundaries is it gives you a bucket. It gives you a place to start to say, this is my time. This is actually what I'm going to do. And it's very intentional. And so I really wanted to use that word intentionality, because this is something that, how often are you reacting? And I want to share this with you too. And so many of my clients say this, is I meet each of my clients with no judgment. So I am not judging if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. How do you, it's just allowing yourself to be intentional and allowing yourself to really be truly honest with yourself, so that you can then start to change that pattern. Because once you can identify that pattern, you can shift the pattern. So when you start looking at what your day really looks like, how many boundaries are you setting? Are people always accessible to you? Like, are you always accessible to people? Like, do you have open office hours, meaning that they can text you or call you or whatever, regardless of whatever it is that you're involved in? There's statistics and there's research that you may have heard where if you get distracted, if you're working in a very intricate task, it takes you 30 minutes to get back to where you were. And if you're not setting those boundaries, you're jumping from this to that, and all of the time that you're losing to get back to where you were was because there wasn't a time barrier set or a boundary that was set. So I'd invite you to start to take a look at that, and I'm going to invite you to start to take a look at that within your day. And we're going to, whereas we're going to be breaking these pieces down, you'll have a chance to start to see how these boundaries can apply to what I call category days. But again, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So step 2, it's about identifying critical business components. Over the last 6 years, as I was talking about the systems that I've created, I've been applying these main 6 business strategies that help me to bucketize and create buckets around different areas of my business. And so these 6 categories are dashboard metrics. Another one is sales and process. Another are clients and partners. Another is products and services. Another is marketing and branding. And another is operations and teams. And if you start to take a look at that, yeah, there's a lot of different things that fit up underneath that. Yet those are 6 main categories that really allow you to get clear on what are the main business components that are critical for you to build and grow your business, build, grow, and scale. So I invite you to really start to look and align with these business strategies around these 6 categories. So once you set the boundaries, then you could start to take a look at, okay, now that I've got this boundary, let me go ahead and take a look at what are the main business components. The next piece is adding category days. So category days allow you to focus your attention towards those business components. So if you were to take a look at an example of operations might be an operations manual. Like, how many of you have written down the steps that need to take place whenever a new client comes on board? Or what happens whenever there's a process for your sales? Or whatever it might be from a marketing perspective, like when you need to share some things about what are you doing with marketing, with your marketing elements. And so category days allow you to start to take a look at, if you want to work on that operations manual, let's go ahead and plug that into Monday as your operations day. So you could start to see how this is starting to dissect and helps you start to create a system around what are the various aspects of your business. Okay, so again, boundaries, business components, and then category days. Then the next piece is really about creating habit hours. You know, habit hours, think about it as habit hours as a block of time. This is a block of time where you turn off your cell phone. If you're in a meeting, how often are you picking up the cell phone? Because you're in a meeting with someone. So that person in front of you is really important, right? So just today, again, outside of some of the noise that's happening that maybe you might be hearing on the background, you know, this is really, you know, one thing. I'm not listening, I'm not picking up my phone. And so creating habit hours with block time allows you to start to say, hey, I'm going to spend an hour working on one aspect of that operations manual. So you start to see how these pieces, these systems start to stack on itself, so that you can really begin to create time. Because once that operations manual is written, you have to maybe go back and refine it, but it's not like you're reinventing the wheel each and every single time like you may be doing right now. And again, please hear me, there is no judgment in that if you don't have this operations manual that I'm speaking to. And I know I'm speaking about one specific example here, yet you could see how that might be able to relate to other aspects in your business. Okay, and so then after step 4, it's using the time Clarifier calendar. And this is really where you can schedule your strategy. And so let me share with you, I've since modified this, and you may have seen another presentation where I was talking about the dashboard. And so I've since refined that because I wanted to clarify this, because I felt like this was such a critical piece, and it was something that I think was a little bit overly complicated. So I've really overly simplified it for you. So this is the time clarifying calendar. And if you're interested in all of this, I have some different ways that you can access this. And so what the time clarifier calendar does is it starts to help you take all of these pieces that we've been talking about, setting your boundaries, working on your business components, setting up category days and habit hours, and putting it into a very specific calendar. Okay. So the first thing that we really want to do is, as we're more or less recapping all of these fundamental 5 steps, is setting boundaries. Boundaries give you freedom. And if you think about that, boundaries give you freedom. And this is really a system for you to be able to create time. So after you set your boundaries, then you go into your business components. You can see those are the 6 categories over there that I've categorized to really help you see what are the main aspects of your business. And then take a look at the category day and assign a category day, and then apply it into a habit hour. And break those pieces down so you can really schedule your strategy to create time. So as we recap, boundaries really help you focus your intention. Business components align your business strategy. Category days help you focus your attention. So we've got intention and attention. And then habit hours help you focus on your projects. And then time clarifying calendar allows you to schedule your strategy. So if you accomplish setting one boundary today, you would create more time. Think about that. If you accomplished setting one boundary today, you would create more time. I have a daily question for you to help you simplify and to help you focus and for you to be able to set that boundary each and every single day. If I accomplished blank today, I would create more time. And questions are the answers. The more you're able to ask questions and the more you're able to really kind of think about this and make this as a statement and as a declaration, this is what you're going to accomplish for the day. And so when you start to say that this is what I want to accomplish today, this is the boundary. This is what you have an opportunity to declare so that you can focus on that declaration to create time. I'd like to invite you to, for those of you, I know I've met a number of you, for those of you that I haven't, I would love to meet with you in person or not in person, but actually over the phone here, but you could set a time creation call. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take a look at your calendar and we're gonna see where those boundaries are. And we're gonna be able to take the time for you to be able to look at those boundaries and where you're not setting boundaries and where you could be setting boundaries. So remember, you can create time. I started this journey 10 years ago. And as I mentioned, over the years, I've been creating systems and applying them. And I have systems for systems. Like for those of you that know me, that you could see that. And so the piece here is, it's really about this creating time is creating time for what matters to you most. I'm using my systems. My systems work for me. My systems are working for my clients. And ultimately, because I've created time, I'm living a life that I dream because I'm living a life of travel. I'm a digital nomad. I'm sharing this presentation from Bend, Oregon. I started out this year living in Tempe, Arizona, and now I'm a digital nomad. And my systems are allowing me to travel more, be with more friends, be with more family, and be in more moments that matter. That's why the name of my company is to Enjoy Life Daily. Entrepreneurship doesn't need to be all waking up at 6 and falling asleep exhausted at your desk at 11 o'clock. This is the reason why I do what I do. And I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I love sharing these strategies, these systems, these principles so you could create time. I'm Mark Jamnick, and I invite you to enjoy life daily. Thank you.